Yo, what is going on YouTube? I am Germ here. In this video today, we're going to be talking a little bit about Cloud9. They have been one of the more interesting and polarizing teams throughout this entire LCS split. They've had some very high highs. They've gone through weeks where they've surely looked like the best team in the LCS. They've gone through weeks where it's looked like Summit is popping off and maybe he's the best player in the entire LCS, maybe one of the best players in the West or maybe in the world. There's definitely been some weeks where he's looked like a world-class top laner. Berserker has gone through weeks of being a beast. Blabber has had some MVP weeks for sure, but there's been tons of lows as well. They lost to CLG, they lost to TSM, they're kind of backing into the playoffs, they had the whole LS debacle. They've just been way up and down. The emotions have been crazy. But in this video today, we're going to be going over, just talking about everything about them as they head into the playoffs and about potentially some bad news for them heading into the playoffs as well. Maybe some signs that aren't necessarily pointing towards great things for Cloud9. But yeah, I don't know. Definitely drop a like if you guys do enjoy this video. I would appreciate that a ton. And of course, subscribe to stay up to date on all my latest content. That would be absolutely awesome, helping us run those numbers up. I did want to say, I just got this new jersey in. This is the Karmine Corp Reckless jersey. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's Reckless. It's really cool. Obviously, I like collecting esports jerseys and stuff, and I think this is one of the cooler ones that I have to my collection now, getting that ERL Reckless jersey. Super excited about this, so I wanted to show that off to you guys as well. With that being said, let's get right into this. So, one of the things I wanted to talk about, and Fudge has actually said this in a couple different places in a couple different interviews, but in this recent Travis Gafford interview, it's called Fudge Explains Why He Does Not Play Champions Queue. If you guys want to go check out the whole entire interview, make sure you drop a like on it. Of course, I'm going to do that as well because, I want to support Travis and what he's got going on. I think you guys should support anyone that you're watching and checking out. But Fudge and Travis talk about something that I think is pretty interesting, and maybe a good sign, maybe a bad sign for Cloud9, depending on who you ask. So let's see what Fudge has to say real quick, and then we can kind of break down the rest of the stuff.
But can't come into the studio. Fudge, what went wrong? Why is everything's an upset today? What's going on?
I don't know, man. Like 0-15 weekend scrims. Like LCS is doomed, C9's doomed, NA's doomed, everything's doomed. We should just retire, everyone.
So he talks about there, and like I said, he's talked about this in multiple different places, so you're not just like memeing or anything. He talks about this 0-15 week in scrims. Now I can't exactly remember who they scrimmed. I know he says they scrimmed against C9 Academy and went 0-5. I know he says they scrimmed against EG and went 0-5, and then I want to say the last team was Team Liquid, but I just can't remember that third team, and I don't know, I just didn't pull up the other interview or something, because it's not really that important, it doesn't matter, but I think it was C9 Academy, EG, and TL that they went a combined 0-15 against. Now, obviously, Jack has come out and said on like Reddit or somewhere that C9 Academy has been one of their most difficult scrim partners the entire year. Now, is that because C9 Academy is just insanely cracked? Is that because C9 Academy knows C9 so well and they're able to match up with them good? Is it because Academy teams maybe try harder in scrims because they have something to prove, where maybe LCS teams are practicing and limit testing and training a little bit more? I don't know, but hey, C9 Academy is a team that's given C9 trouble throughout a lot of the year. But then also EG, obviously a good team. They finished top 4, and TL ends up being the best team in the LCS. So not insanely problematic to like lose series to any of those teams individually, but to go 0-15 against all those teams in scrims this week, I'm not a guy who reads into scrims that much. I'm usually one that doesn't really care about scrims. I don't tend to usually want to hear about them, but if I had to pick right before playoff starts for my team to go 15-0 during scrims or 0-15, like, I don't think it's ideal if my team's going 0-15 in scrims. Now again, I think at the end of the day, scrim should be a place where you're practicing, training, limit testing, trying new strategies, trying new builds, trying new drafts, trying to actually work on stuff and get better. I don't really think it matters who wins at the end of the day, but obviously you're not trying to lose, and by the time you lose the 7th, 8th, 9th, 13th, 14th game in a row, that might be a little tilting. That might be a little bit mentally taxing. That might, lose you a little bit of confidence and stuff as well, just getting smashed and hammered over and over again. And especially when you couple that on top of the fact that C9 hasn't been doing that hot as of late. Their last 5 games, they lost to TSM. Yes, they do beat CLG. Yes, they beat Dignitas. But then they lose to 100 Thieves and lose to FlyQuest to end the season on a 2-game losing streak and losing 3 out of their last 5 and kind of backing into the playoffs. Where if they would have just ended strong, if they would have won even 2 of these games, but even 1 of these games, they could have gotten a tiebreaker or the number 1 overall seed in the LCS. They could have been the best team in the regular season. But again, instead, they're backing into the playoffs. And it's been really, really weird for Cloud9 because people's opinions have changed a lot. Like I said, Cloud9 some weeks has looked like the best team in the LCS. They look like they've had one of the better players at every single position in the LCS. But then as of late, Summit hasn't been popping off as much. Summit hasn't been able to carry them to victories. And now people are wondering, like, is Cloud9 one-dimensional? Do they need to play through Summit? If you shut down Summit, if you pick Malphite or some tank that's going to neutralize him in the top lane, does that shut C9 down? Because we know Fudge is still a little bit shaky as a mid laner. We know Berserker is an AD carry that likes to scale. And yes, Blabber's been good, but if you can't really play through mid in the early game and don't really play through bot in the early game, that kind of gives you one option. And hey, when Summit's popping off, when Summit's playing at that MVP level, it works out really, really great, and it looks amazing, and C9 is the best team in the LCS, but is having one singular win con, especially in the early game, is that the best way to play? Is that going to work out? Is that going to work out in the playoffs, in best of fives, where you need to bring multiple different drafts, multiple different strategies, where you need to kind of be fluid throughout the course of a series and stuff? And obviously that's something people have said, you know, LS would have been able to really help Cloud9 with, you know, bringing different angles, bringing different styles, bringing different strategies. And of course, now that we're getting into playoffs, hey, 100 Thieves, they've been on a tear recently. I think they won like 7 of their last 8 to go into the playoffs. So Cloud9's been kind of trending downwards. 100 Thieves is trending up. TL finished above them as well. It's like, things are not necessarily looking great for Cloud9 right now. And then, speaking of LS, of course, you're always going to have those LS comparisons no matter what C9 does. If C9 loses a playoff series, even if they lose playoff games, even if they win and it's not in like a dominant fashion, people are going to be saying, hey, LS this, LS that, LS died for this, LS would have done this, LS would have done that, LS would do better, he'd make the team better. It's going to just be a whole nother added probably pressure and annoyance to the whole team and staff, and just another thing they're going to have to block out and keep out of their minds and all that stuff. So I think it's kind of interesting. You know, Cloud9 is a team who I've really liked watching this season. I think they've been fun. I think they have a lot of amazing players, but they just haven't been playing that well recently. And right before the playoffs start, that's just not ideal. That's not when you want to see your team, you know, hitting a lull or hitting a downward trend. Now, hey, best of fives are entirely different than best of ones. Playoffs, you know, fans are going to be back. There's going to be an added level of excitement, pressure. Some players rise up in those situations. Some crumble. We're going to find out. We're going to see. But hey, this 100 Thieves team is looking pretty scary, pretty good. I know Fudge did have a little bit of thoughts and opinions on, you know, them losing all these games and stuff recently. So I wanted to get what he had to say as well in this video.
We lost and get second, then win and, you know, not really fix our problems and get first. So pretty happy with this last week, you know.
Yeah, exactly. It's
So, you know, he talks about how he would rather them lose right now, finish in second place, lose all these scrims, lose all these games, than win all these games, but still be making silly mistakes and not be being punished for them. And I agree with that. In some ways, it is good. You know, when you're losing a bunch of scrims and losing a bunch of games, you're seeing how teams are exploiting you, how teams are beating you. You're seeing what you need to fix. You should then, you know, if you have a good coach, a good system, a good team, you should be able to fix those problems. And then, hey, you're a better team for it. But again, it also means they're making a lot of mistakes and they have a lot of flaws and they have a lot of issues. And right before playoffs, do they have enough time to actually fix all those mistakes? Do they actually have time to fix all those issues? And will they be able to show up and show if they've made improvement on those things on Saturday? I don't know, but we're going to find out very, very soon. And it's going to be a very, very fun and exciting playoff series to watch between C9 and 100 Thieves. On the bright side for C9, they're coming off a great regular season. They finished second place in the LCS, and also, of course, the playoffs is double elimination. So even if C9 hasn't figured out everything and they end up losing 100 Thieves, they still get to come back. They get to play like FlyQuest and Dignitas and teams like this. They'll probably get to ramp up a couple series, you know, win some games, and then get a rematch with either 100 Thieves or TL or EG or whoever. So they have plenty of time to fix these mistakes. They have plenty of time to learn from these things. But, you know, it's just going to be, can they do that? Are other teams going to show up and be better? Is C9 going to show up and be better? I don't know. There's really, in my head, you know, these 3 teams, TL, 100 Thieves, and C9, that are all very, very close. And depending on who shows up that day, who has better drafts, who has better strategies, I think anyone could win the title this year. And I think that's what's going to make this playoff series very, very fun. But again, 100 Thieves coming in hot, TL looking pretty good, C9 kind of backing into the playoffs. I don't think that's exactly great news. Going 0-15 in scrims, all this stuff, I don't know. But hey, I hope they show up. Hopefully they can figure this stuff out. But that is pretty much everybody's video today, guys. Definitely drop a like if you did enjoy it. I would appreciate it so much. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you guys think about this. Are you guys worried for C9? Do you think scrims matter? Don't matter? Do you think C9 is going to be able to turn everything around? I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions. Subscribe, stay up to date, and all my latest content. Hope to catch you guys in the next one. But until then, peace.